Ryan, how you doing, bro?
I'm fantastic. Just got out of the gym, did my meditation, and I was like rushing to get on here, drinking my smoothie in the morning.
There you
Ready to
go.
rock it.
Yeah, I told some people that I was interviewing Ryan Reynolds on the call Monday, and they thought I was super cool.
Well, I thought I was super cool to be on this podcast, so it's a pleasure to be here, bud.
Yeah, it's our honor, man. We are super excited to learn from you and pick your brain. I know you are massive into the telesale side of the business. Now, are you fully telesales? Are you hybrid? What does that look like?
Fully telesales. Did the face-to-face for 10 years, and there was some people doing some Zooms. I know that, but when I came over, I said, you know what? I wanted to have the ability to swim outside in my swim trunks and then step out of the pool and close some deals. So challenge accepted. You know, if I do the same thing over and over again for too long, I get antsy. So I was like, I need to try something new. So when I went over to Grady's team, he was trying to bring me over to FFL for 3 years. And at first I was like, why don't you come work with me, man? And then he blew past me and I was like, all right, maybe there's something to this FFL thing. So came over here, started a new agency and said, the thing I'm going to do different, I'm going to try to do this telesales thing. The reason why I wanted to do it too is I thought for FFL to grow, we had to have some other avenues, right? So there is some people that are maybe in some spots where they can't get the leads they want to get. But if you are remote, now you don't have a lead problem. You have the whole United States to choose from, right? So it is a little bit harder. The quick thing is you have to spend double the amount of money on leads in order to make the same profit, right? So as long as you can look at it as a business owner and say, hey, you know, I'm spending now $2,000 to make 10,000 versus 1,000 to make 10,000. Who cares? You still make 10,000. So you're spending more for the convenience to be home. But, you know, if you look at it relatively, you know, the gas prices are up, you know, maintenance on the car, you know, that sort of stuff. Now, the one thing I would recommend for you guys that are, if you want to go remote, is it's important to keep your education, right? You got to keep, you know, sharpening that axe, right? And so, you know, make sure you find ways to listen to your podcast, whether it's at the gym or when you're cooking dinner, or the case may be, continue your education process, right? You stop, sharpen the axe with your education, stop watering the tree with some knowledge, and your numbers start to drop. So that's really key.
Yeah. Knowledge is power, right?
That's right. 1,000%.
Yeah. We've got multiple teams within FFL 320 that are completely telesales. My team, FFL Ascent, is moving hybrid. And I don't know, I guess I was just slow to change. You know, we were comfortable face-to-face selling on a high level. But it just recently, you know, we started looking at the numbers with, you know, we're heavy in mortgage protection and we're thinking, man, these leads are getting so much more expensive. And there's all these different avenues in this business that we are just not capitalizing on. So we're moving quickly into a hybrid approach. And, you know, I know I'm going to end up telesales. I'm bucking against it, but that's why I have you on here to sell me hard on it, man. So cool. Well, So you knew Grady from prior to the industry or prior to FFL?
I actually went to high school with him. He was a year below me. And then we didn't really hang out too much in high school. And then after we got out of high school, started hanging out back we were kind of in the early 20s realm, right? And then we were in our 30s, and I saw him on Facebook that he had gotten insurance. And I was at the other agency, and I was like, oh, hell no, dude, you're working over here with me, bro. What's up? So we went to lunch a couple of times, and then I would give him these tips, you know, on selling. I taught him how to dial. I gave him the confirmation code. And then all of a sudden I was listening to FFL podcast because every time I drove, and that was a great thing about face to face is your drive time, right? So every time you're driving, you got to listen to podcasts. And I listen to podcasts from all different agencies because they're a really small one. And I always loved FFL. I mean, the way they go, hey, it's an honor to be on here. We're treated with respect. And then all of a sudden I started hearing other people talk about this confirmation code that I invented like 8 years ago. And I was like, these guys are stealing all my ideas, man. So eventually I was like, I might as well join these guys and at least spread them around and be one team, right? But the telesales thing, I'll tell you this, it's just like anything in life. Like, you know, the most of the people on here, if you guys are making it, we don't make excuses. We go, hey, Sean's doing it, so that means I can do it, right? So the only thing I got to figure out is myself, okay? And so a long time ago, I remember back when I was doing face-to-face, I was in the Phoenix area, and everyone could never do well in the Phoenix area because there's a lot of like competition, right? And so, you know, we always go in the outskirts, like we drive to like, you know, 2 hours to like the small towns, and we'd always kill it out there, you know, 6, 8K, but somehow like locally we can only do like 3K, right? And then so this new guy came in, Phil, and we're like, hey, yeah, have all the local leads. You're good, man. We never told him it was a bad area, right? And then all of a sudden he started doing 6, 8K, and we're like, what the heck? He's doing 6, 8K in Phoenix? Okay. And then we started doing 6, 8K, right? So a lot of it is just like a mind perception, right? So the same thing happened with telesales over here. When I came over, everyone said it couldn't be done. I thought in my head, well, if it can't be done, maybe it can't be done. I don't know. This is kind of crazy. And I was doing really bad at first, right? I was like, I had to get over a mental block. So it took me like 2 months, and Grady tried to convince me lots of times. He's like, dude, just stop your damn experiment. Like, go out in the field and do what you know how to do. Like, you're a beast when you're on the field. And I was like, dude, I'm not going to give up. Like, I'm going to crack this code. And then as soon as I wrote, protected 50 families in a month, two months in a row, then it was proven, right? And so now the rest of everybody was like, okay, now it can be done. And now there's people that are destroying me, doing more than that in telesales. So the proof is in the pudding. If someone else can do it, humble yourself and know that the only thing stopping you is you, because the proof is right there, right? And I think that's really important for us to look at as agents.
Yeah, no doubt, man. It's funny you say that, because when the company started pushing, promoting, I should say, telesales, my first thought, and I had to check myself real quick, was like, oh man, this is a way to do less work, make more money. I can be in my PJs at home. And I realized, no, wait a minute. There's no way that's possible. Right now,
Yeah.
so doing some telesales stuff, I understand it's just as much work, if not more. It's just more convenient. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. Same thing. I was kind of thinking the same thing. Oh man, this is going to be way less work. It's going to be awesome. So, but no, it's just, you have to set more appointments. So you're making up for that difference. But, to be honest with you, I mean, I don't know. I was really good out face-to-face, and I'd set like 12 appointments, close 9, I was really good at it. So I was doing very well there. So now I'm having to set the standard 30 appointments a week, with my 10 no-shows. Maybe I get 5 people that are, not smart, I guess you could say. They're just not smart. They don't get it. Right. And then, you close like 12 or 10 of them. So yeah, it's just a numbers game. We focus so much on our no's or yeses, and it's really the things we can control is our action. So what you need to be focusing on more is how many dials you're doing per day. Set a goal, make sure you hit that no matter what, right? Once you hit that goal, you're good. Who cares about the no's or yeses? Or if you're setting appointments for telesales, again, what's your goal on how many appointments you're going to set for that week? As long as you focus on one of those 2 goals, then your numbers are going to come naturally. So that's all you can focus on, right? So make it simpler than it needs to be is kind of the key to this business. And what a lot of times happens is we have these new agents that overcomplicate everything. Just get good at your script, focus on, your consistency of buying leads every week, whatever that goal is, right? Spend that, and then focus on, I actually shot a video this morning I put out on Reels about it. And the third one would be focusing on your amount of rings or your amount of appointments set. That's it. There's just 3 simple things.
Yeah. And I think especially new agents, and this is what changed my business, was when I focused on the numbers and the activity rather than the results, because we can't control results. We can't control if they buy, we can't control if they book an appointment, but we can control how many leads we buy, our mindset, if we're positive or negative, and we can control the amount of dials and appointments we do run, because we can always just work harder, put more activity in. So I do have some questions in a minute. I kind of want to learn from you, what does your week to week look like? How many leads are you buying? What type of leads are you running? How many dials you're making, your schedule, things like that. So just fire away.
Yeah. So I have an assistant, just so that I can spend more time on the agency side, helping some agents get going, that sort of thing. So I have an assistant that I trained to be a dialer. Now I will tell you, luckily she's probably not going to watch this, but she's probably like 50% as good as I would be. Right. So she's not going to have the drive or the motivation because she's not getting paid a commission, because she gets paid per hour. Right. So she does other things for me as well. So if you're willing to if you want your ROI to drop for, bringing back some of that time management, then hire a dialer, but you need to, train them properly. She took her a couple months to get good at it. So if you're brand new, do not hire a dialer at all. Just exit out, don't think about it. You got to get to a point where you're protecting at least 30 families a month. And then you have some capital and you have some skill sets now to go train a dialer, because your manager's job is not to train your dialer. Okay. You got to be good enough to train your dialer yourself. But typically sticking to that same schedule that I released a long time ago. She books my appointments on Mondays and Tuesdays for Tuesday, Wednesday. And then I run them on Friday as well. And then Mondays and Thursdays and Saturdays are for agency stuff. So yeah, let me follow up on that. So then as far as like the goals here, it's to try to get to 30 appointments. Now I was running mortgage protection. Those leads have just got cut down to like a fourth because of the interest rates going up in mortgages. So those mailers are kind of dead in the water for a little bit here. So now I'm just buying, Happy Agent, final expense leads, Lead Gorilla, those ones, subbing those ends. I'm going to try some live transfers today. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm going to try some live transfers to AWL and just kind of fill in the gaps. We have tons of leads. You just have to be willing to invest money in them and kind of go with the flow. Now, I have noticed that, if you're going to be doing set appointments for telesales, it seems like the mailers work out better. Mailers are not something you can get as a new agent. You have to prove yourself because your upline has to put a credit card on file as a backup. So you can't really get those right away. Plus they take 2 months to start dripping in. So if you're a new agent, kind of stuck with internet leads, if you want to do telesales, and if you're doing an internet lead, one call closes is the way to go, just because they're a little more flaky versus like a mailer. Okay. Does that answer some questions?
Yeah. It makes sense. Now, when you are, so Angela, I was going to ask this, how much are you typically spending per week in leads?
Myself, 1,500, 2,000, somewhere in there.
Okay. And you're working mostly final expense now? Like Facebook final expense and things?
Yeah, doing some mostly final expense right now. And then I'm going to switch to some live transfers. I mean, this has all happened in the last, beginning of July, where all the leads went really down. I was like, all right, time to experiment here. I tried a lead bank. I mean, no offense to lead bank, but no success there. So I don't recommend those ones. Okay.
So you said you run in Happy Agent. We actually our team is killing it with Happy Agent.
Happy Agent's been great. Yeah. Happy Agent so far has been my favorite one so far, but I like to try them all out. I mean, that's kind of like our jobs as leaders, is to test out stuff for you guys. If you guys are new, the best thing you can do as a new agent is not do the research and development, right? Just copy and repeat. Go, oh, I found this other lead vendor. I'm going to try this. It's like, well, does your manager try it? Has someone that's killed it tried it? Then don't try it, right? Like, why are you spending your money and energy on research and development? Like, let your manager do that. Let them waste their money and time on it. You just got to follow what they say to do, copy, repeat, ask people that are already successful, not people below you. People are making money, and whatever they say they're doing to make money, you just do that. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, you're so right, man. One of the funniest, I don't even get frustrated at it. Probably one of the funniest things I get as a new agent. I'll do a lead strategy call and I won't hear from them. And then they call me back like a month later, like, hey, I'm trying out this new vendor. And I'm thinking, that is not your problem right now. You just need to buy leads from somewhere and actually just dial the phone. Like, it's that simple. You don't need to try out this random vendor. Like, I don't know how to run them. I've never heard of them. So don't ask me my opinion, So I'm glad you said that. So as far as agency building, you are building an agency, right? And so you said 3 days a week are devoted to your team, right? So one question was asked, how do you balance focusing on running appointments and also growing your team and watching trainings? Are there specific, so you kind of answered this, are there specific hours or days as far as your schedule? Like, are you just like Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Fridays, you're just like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. you're on the phone? Are you taking calls from agents those days? What does that look like?
Yeah. So, basically on Mondays is where I schedule a lot of like the interviews, stuff like that, or like my strategy calls I do with new people coming in. And then usually my mornings don't start till for at least on the phone from like 11 to 6 typically. And I book every 30 minutes and with a 30-minute call window. So I can fit in 14 appointments in that 7 hours.
Wow.
And then so my mornings pretty much from like 9 to 11, I have 2-hour windows where my agents can schedule some time if they need some upgrade training or whatever the case may be. And then in between appointments, obviously just answering text messages and we use an app called Marco Polo to communicate. And it's kind of cool because, text messaging is great because it's time management, right? So we can, we don't have to link up on our schedules, but it doesn't record tonality and it takes some time to text it out, right? And then you have a phone call, but everyone's schedules have to match up. Marco Polo is like a recording with video. So you get to see each other's faces, feel like you're kind of hanging out, but it's on demand like a text message. So we've been using that. It's been kind of cool. If I can get the agents to use it, then it's great.
As far as your mindset, so obviously what can kill people in this business is the phones. Like that can really crush an agent if they don't work hard at it. But one thing that I think a lot of us struggle at is the mindset of dealing with a high level of rejection, different day. You have some good days and some bad days. How do you handle that? What's your mindset? How do you handle your mindset staying positive on the phones?
Believing in the product. I was always a person that if I didn't close anything, I got really, really mad. I got super pissed off. I'd walk out so frustrated. God, geez, God. But I'd always look and blame myself. I remember back when I first started, like I'd drive in the car and go, okay, like after I calmed down, I'd be like, all right, so what could I have changed? What could I change and been different? Because, if that family, has a heart attack tomorrow or that husband does, like that was my fault. Somehow I wasn't able to get through to this guy to talk about something that should be a no-brainer. And that was my mistake. And so let me figure out what I could have changed and judge myself to get better. And I didn't have, YouTube videos or mentors or meetings like this to do. It was just a natural ability to really humble myself, right? Which is why we wear those shirts, humble and hungry, humble myself to know that, it was my fault and I can get better by just, admitting that, there's something I could have changed and maybe get through to these people. Now, sometimes there's stuff that we can't change. I mean, there is just people out there that, are, not mentally smart, or they're just very, very selfish and think they can predict the future, right? So you can't win them all. But, the thing is just having numbers on your side, that, a lot of times we make excuses and blame other outside sources for the reasons why we're not successful. And we're not humble to the actual simple stuff that we actually can control, which I talked about earlier. It's like, were you really spending $500 minimum on your leads? Well, there's your answer, right? Were you really spending, did you really dial 2,000 dials that week to do telesales? Or if you're doing face-to-face appointments, did you really book 30 appointments that week? Well, there's your answer, right? So numbers are always going to fix all, because you naturally are going to get angry with yourself. If you have 15 in a row that you don't help out, you're naturally like, all right, something's up. Like, what do I need to change, right? You should naturally want to reach out to your mentor, ask some questions, go back, watch another video, get better at your craft, right? I think too many people come into this business with like a get rich scheme mentality. It's like, dude, this is a business where you can make more than a doctor. Like, what are you doing? Like, I get my agents on the phone. I'm like, all right, let's do some role play. And they're like tripping over their words. I'm like, did you read this for like 4 hours? I can tell. Like, are you kidding me? Like, you expect a client to take you professional when you're not taking yourself professional? Like, go back and practice that thing for 40 hours. Like, come out the gate swinging like a professional. Like, when I hired you, you said you want to make, $300,000 in a year, and you expect to do that with 4 hours of practicing your script. Like, I got 7,000 hours under my belt. That's why I sound good. Like, you can practice with leads that cost money, but why don't you go out there and, read it to yourself, practice with your neighbor, get on one of these Zoom rooms and call one of the rookies that's just like you and go, hey, bud, let's practice together. Right. Get some practice in. And I think there's so many people that don't practice their presentation enough. And to me, I just think that's ridiculous. Like, when I first started, I didn't have a presentation. I had to literally be in my car and write down, all right, I think step 1 should be this. Write it out. Step 2, I should probably talk about this. And then I get out, well, that didn't work. And I have to rearrange it, write it out again, driving around, memorizing. Okay, so I have to do that. Okay, you get an appointment. Let me test this out, right? So I was always constantly trying to get better. So I think you guys have it right in front of your faces. I mean, I put out a great script. I think it's amazing, with 10 years of my talent and experience of writing scripts, called the Rush Freestyle. And I think it's really good. So go read that thing till you have it memorized. I think if you have to, look at the script, then you haven't practiced enough. I mean, you should be able to read it, crumble it up, throw it away. And then at that point, you actually sound like a professional, because you're actually just talking to people, Yeah.
Ryan, where can we find that script? Can we use that?
Yeah. You can go to fflrush.com. Just go to my scripts. It's also on YouTube. It's called the Simple Rush Freestyle. And it's all right there. You can use it. It's cool. It's universal. It's for every single lead type. You can use it for your presentation for the in-home. You can use it for, final expense, telemarketing, whatever you want to do, Zooms. So it's a universal script for everything.
Awesome, man. Yeah, that's so much gold in that, man. I don't even know what to really break down. I can't say it better than you did. That's for sure, dude. That is phenomenal. As far as your whole agency is all telesales, do you work with any agents that are face-to-face, or you guys all telesales?
Yeah. I have some people that do face-to-face. Yeah, of course.
With the ones that you're starting on telesales, what does that lead strategy call look like, and how are you getting them off the ground running?
We try the CRM out quite a bit, and it's great. It works for a lot of people. I just been trying to tell people to get the Facebook final expense leads lately. It seems like they're getting better results. And I think for a new agent, you have less leads to dial. It's a little easier. You don't have to have phone burning up to anything. It's like, hey, spend your $500, which number one, I don't think anyone should ever come into this business unless they have $500 to spend on some leads. If you don't, you need to go to get a job. Sorry, you're not ready to be a business owner. Like, it takes money to make money. You can't go to college. You can't throw money in cryptocurrency. It's like, man, I'm ready for my career and I got $100. It's like, dude, no, you need a job, bro. Like, you're not ready to be a business owner yet. Okay. But spend $500 and you get like 25 leads, and ring the hell out of those things all week long. That's not hard to hit 25. Right. But make sure that you got your script down. I mean, if you're stumbling over your words yet, you're not ready to dial, those leads. You're going to be wasting some money. Right. And I think the big key here, guys, is that we are problem solvers. That's it. Problem solvers. So find the problem. So you have to approach this always with curiosity. Hey, what would happen if you were dead yesterday? What's your plan today? So you're saying that you want to do a car wash and a GoFundMe. You think that's a better plan than getting this. Can you tell me why that's a better plan? Right? Help me understand it. You almost have to be okay with, whether it's a no or a yes. You could care less. You're just curious of why it's a no. Right? So kind of approach it that way with a lot of curiosity. I think you'll be okay. And then anytime someone says, I need to think about it later, you're like, You always want to act like, we're a herd mentality, right? So we do what other people do. Why does everyone wear Chucks? Right? It's like, well, he's wearing Chucks. I want to wear some Chuck Taylors too, right?
Well, they're comfortable.
Yeah, they're simple, they're easy, right? So we have trends, right? So when anyone says, I want to think about it, or anyone hangs up on you, or anyone does anything, you really want to approach that client like it's the weirdest thing that you've ever seen, right? You're like, this is so strange. You're the only person that's ever done this. Why are you a weirdo? Like, you're outside the herd, right? So, when they say anything about it, it's like, that's interesting. I really don't get too many people that need to think about protecting their family. Can you help me understand that? Like, what is there to think about? I guess I'm confused, right? So approach it with some confusion. Try to figure it out, right? I think that's the key too.
So you're giving all of your new agents a script. So it kind of takes away the confusion, like, hey, just go memorize this script. Now, do you set a time when do you role play with them? When do you help them go through that script? When do you go through that?
Basically just, hey, read this script out loud. If you come on, to my strategy call with me and I'm taking time out of day to see how you sound and perfect you, and I can tell that you haven't read it properly, then I'm going to be mad because you're wasting my time. You're taking time from another agent that could have utilized this, and you're not being a professional for your client, yourself, or me. So come prepared. And in that way, it can take you from professional to excellence, right? Now we can throw out some rebuttals and have some fun. So we'll see. I just started implementing that like 3 weeks ago. So I'm trying to see if it will work. But so far, it seems like it's working a lot better.
Yeah, scripts are gold, man. I remember when I started, we didn't have an in-home script presentation, but I did ask my upline, Gabe. I was like, hey, dude, send me a voice recording of your in-home setup, like how you set the table. Financial inventory is easy, but how you set the table, proper expectations. I want to hear your tonality. And I literally memorized that thing word for word. I spent like 3 hours just listening to it over and over and over again. And I could reel that thing off still to this day. And I don't even say that same stuff anymore. But that did so much for me going into the house. It made me more confident because I didn't have to think about what to say. I just.
And you know what's weird? You did that and you're making good money now, right?
Hey, I can't complain.
Crazy, right? Oh, wow. You did the homework. You treated your job as a professional. Wow. Crazy.
So what are some common mistakes that you see new telesales agents come in and make?
Same mistake as even on the dial days. I mean, you're at home, so it's easy to get distracted, right? I mean, even on my own Zoom rooms, it's like a lot of times if I'm not in there, they're like chit chatting, I jump in there like, oh, better get to work. Ryan's here. so just kind of treat it like a business, right? So, I mean, like I said, set out your goals. So if you're going to do one call closes, whatever you guys spend in leads, let's say you spent $1,000 in leads, cut it in half. That's 500 rings a day. If you spend $500 in leads, that's 250 rings in a day, right? And so if you haven't pressed 250 sends on your phone that day, then you didn't do a proper work day, right? So if you spend $1,000, then 500 rings would be a proper work day, right? And so if you're not doing that, you're like, I don't get it. I don't know why I'm not making money. It's like, well, how many rings did you put in? There's your answer, right? So make sure you're just working. That's, I think, that the main thing. Just make sure you're working, make sure you got your script down, and be okay with taking maybe a couple of weeks for you to figure it out. I mean, I've been in the business for 10 years and, I wasn't great at it at first. I was messing up all the time and I didn't think I closed anything the first 2 weeks. I was like, what? This is sucking. Like, what do you mean? Maybe I should quit. But I was like, no, I'm going to figure this out. I have that willpower to get pissed off enough to go, nah, I'm going to make this work. So once it did, then here we are, right? We proved that it can be done. You got to be patient with it. And there's a lot of people, that are transferring over to telesales and they went through the exact same thing I went through. It's like, hey, they didn't close in for the first couple of weeks and then all of a sudden started clicking, their confidence came up, they started relaxing on the phone. I think it's just like the same thing when you first go out face to face. It's a little nerve-wracking at first because it's new, right? But then, you do the thing you fear, the death of fear is certain. Right. So through enough repetitions, you start to calm down, relax, and it seems normal. The client's reading your energy that it's normal. But how can we fast forward and actually shorten that learning curve? Memorizing your script to where you don't need it. Right. So that you sound like you're having a conversation, what you're talking about. Like you hit the nail on the head earlier, that raises your confidence level to where you're already there.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I'm super guilty of, especially when I was new, overthinking a lot and not keeping this really simple. And I think a lot of what I overthought was like, well, what do I say when I go in the house? And I think practicing your script, whether it's the phone or the in-home, and dude, it's just a lot of reps. It's a lot of reps. There's no secret behind that. And some people, their learning curve is going to be much longer than others. And you got to lose your ego. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're going to figure it out, you'll figure it out.
I got some good stuff we can talk about. Actually, I just put out a video just released this morning, an hour ago on my YouTube channel. It's really good. I spent some time editing it and stuff. I was like, I'm starting to make some better content here. But it's about tonality, right? And I think tone is something that's not enough talked about. So let's talk about some tone for a little bit if you're okay with that.
Absolutely, man. Fire away.
Okay. So tonality is the key to this business. And a lot of times we overthink everything, right? And so we're in the wrong mindset. But tone is like, so when it comes to dialing, really, if you're in the right mindset, which is, hey, these guys asked for information, they requested it, and my job is to get the information to them. And you can just stay in that mindset, then you don't have to think about a script, right? So the first part of dialing is just, there's 3 parts to every single setting appointment script. One is why you calling, right? So you're just like, hey, you requested this information about this. I need to verify some stuff so you know who I am. That should be natural. The second one is, how do they get the information? Is it setting an appointment on Zoom? Are you, doing it in a telesales thing? What time's available? Am I coming to the house? Whatever the case may be. How do they get the information, right? And the third one is locking it down. How they can remember it, right? Now, the remembering one I think is really important. What I do always is the confirmation code. Hey, grab a pen and give a confirmation code. I love it because, our job, they don't trust us. And now we're going, we don't trust you. Right. So we're reversing it back on them and going, hey, you need to have this when I show up to the appointment. Otherwise, we can't do it. We use it for security. That builds trust. Right. And the insurance companies make us check IDs, do this and that. Why wouldn't they want us to be more secure? Right. So, having a little code that's tied to you, 7W52 is mine. So that I can recognize if that's the person I talk to me, it makes sense. Right. Hey, 7W52, got the date, time, blah, 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 and then read it back, make them read it back to you. right? And then say, how do you remember your appointments? You put them on a calendar, you put them on your fridge, you put them on sticky notes. What do you do to remember your appointments? You ask them a question. They have to answer it. Great. Can you do that right now while we're on the phone? They all say yes. Make them do it right then. Is there anything else you can think of why you wouldn't be there at that time? You got a poker game with the boys. You got a soccer match with little girls that you were talking about earlier. Do you, do you stop at the grocery store? Do you have overtime at work sometimes? Is there anything at all why you can't make that appointment because we're too backed up and we need to make sure we can get to all the families requesting our help? No, nothing.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
well,
crazy. So those tie downs, like for a while, I used to, because I started doing those, and when I started growing a team, I used to think, well, that's just what everyone does. And then I would start calling agents, going through their script with them, and they're like, well, yeah, they just got off the phone and we're good. And they do no tie downs. And I thought, wait a minute, we got to really make that adjustment, because that has made those that do those, our no-show ratio is dramatically changed. And dude, we just make so much more money because we're actually getting in front of people.
I mean, when I was out in the field, like I swear I was like 10% no-show rate by doing just that simple tie down. I know the FFL way is like, hey, what's the house look like? Can I park in the driveway, this or that? But I do my tie downs exactly like that. And I had no-show rates were way down. Now with telesales, it's probably like 30, 40%. Sometimes it's terrible, but you make up, that's why you buy more leads, right? So you're making up that time. And then if you can get it condensed down with 30 minutes, it's like, okay, cool. Who cares if there's a no-show? I got one right here. You can just hit them faster, right? So again, we're going to get to this tone thing. So now we have our tone. We have our simple method, right? Just like, hey, these guys requested it. Stop overthinking it. Just talk like a normal person about those three things, however you want to do it, right? Now we got our presentation. What's the presentation? Again, it's just three things. Why do you need this is the first one. How do you talk about it? Why do you need this, right? How do they get approved for it, right? And then what's the process? That's your presentation. That's it. So just think about how you can talk about it. And a lot of times we kind of overthink it too much, right? So with tonality, what happens is if we are broke, right? If as human beings, like the English language is pretty old school, right? And so we're communicating with something that was invented like a long time ago, but we've caught up a lot in technology. And so now we try to communicate with like an old DOS system, right? Like it's not really making sense, right? So, what we've done as humans is we read tone. There's a story behind the words. That's what the video is about on YouTube, behind what we say, right? And so if we're broke, right? If we're broke and we're stressing out, we really want to make a sale, we got that commission breath, then they can read that story in the way we speak, right? So I might be like, hey, Sean, hey, how's it going? Hey, won't take up too much of your time today. If you could grab a pen and paper, that'd be great. But just trying to help you out today. You can tell, right? I sound needy as hell, right? Or am I going to be like, here's the right tone, right? What's the story? Like, I got lots of appointments today. Man, you are so lucky you're talking to Ryan Reynolds because I'm going to help your family today. You get that oomph, that belief. I believe in what I do for a living. Man, if I don't help you, I'm going to feel guilty about it, right? Because I want to help everybody. I believe in this product, right? I'm going to be honest with them. Straight up, and I'm going to approach it that way. Sean, hey, Ryan Reynolds, I'm going to get you this information that you requested. Go ahead and grab a pen. Let me know when you're ready, okay? Different, right? Completely different. So you got to change the story. So, you got to be an actor in this business in order to have that right tonality, and then simplify it. Know that, you're overthinking it. You really don't need a script. If you want to use a guide, go ahead, but understand it's a simple process. You're just trying to help people out.
That's incredible, man. So much of your tone is just your mindset.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. When an agent is on a call, telesales or whatnot, they're doing a one call close. What's the process there for them to quote unquote call you from the home? When you're face to face, obviously you're calling your mentor saying, hey, I got this client. This is where we're at, what we're looking for. What do you recommend? How does an agent call you during telesales processes to get help with that appointment?
You're not going to like the answer, but
well, lay it on us, man.
Yeah, but they don't call me. They don't. Yeah, I just teach them to either use the cheat sheets in the strategy call, or use the Slack, underwriting genie, or use the insurance toolkits, okay. Right? Or the fourth way, if you want to do it the lazy way, just if they're below, 50, start filling out a Marico term. You just be like, all right, we got to see what you can qualify for here, and just start filling it out. If it passes the first check, you're like, okay, they're good. If it gets declined, you're like, okay, yeah, still looking. And then, you got to go to whole life, right? Just start filling out one of the two. 15 below, you just go with, the Marico term CBO 100 or the term 125. And then if there's 15 above, just go right away with whole life. Who cares? Whole life's great. Lasts forever, whatever, right? Start filling it out. You don't have to think about it at all. Like, well, I don't know. So I was decline. I'm going to go with AIG now or an accidental. So, yeah.
So you're front loading your clients with some of that training on the cheat sheets and things like that, and trying to keep it really simple. And then as you get better, they start to learn different products kind of on their own. Is that kind of your process?
Yep, exactly.
Well, dude,
I tell them, I said, hey, if it's an emergency and you need to call me, just call me twice and I'll know that you're in an appointment and I'll switch over. Like in case I'm I was like, unless I'm like in a live training like this, but I guess it'd be funny. Actually, I probably could answer right here. Like, hey, so what's doing? Yeah. But I don't really get too many calls. So I guess they're figuring it out with the, with the cheat sheets or Slack or the other methods I told them. But basically on my website, so there's 5 different methods you can use. Whichever one you want to go with, go ahead. Right.
Got it. That's awesome, man. This has been phenomenal, dude. I'm glad we were able to make this work. I appreciate your time, sincerely. I do want to open it up to any of our managers that are on the call first. If you guys have any questions, unmute yourself, go ahead and fire away.
Can you just repeat the website where we can find the cheat sheets and everything?
You can use my website if you want. It's fflrush.com. You can use Grady Polson's fflamerica.com. The cheat sheets. Yeah, it's and I have a video on there. It's actually my YouTube channel. It says how to figure out what to write. And it goes over the cheat sheets if you want to use those. But basically the underwriting genies, they're just using those cheat sheets. And so I'll kind of explain a little bit about how this works. So back in the day, when I first started, like I said, I didn't have all the resources you guys have, and I made it work at 50%. So you have 0 excuses, 0 excuses. If I can do with 0 mentors and a 50% commission in the old school way. But here, you're going to check this out. You're going to laugh. So basically, when my training was originally to go into a house, and my upline said, yeah, man, you just go into the house and then you just see what they want. And then you pull out the applications and you just start reading the medical questions and then see if they pass. If they want to get it, great. If they don't want to grade it, then you just pack up your bag and you leave. And that was my training. Okay. So because it was so simple, I was like, oh, okay, whatever. I kind of had not a whole lot to think about. So I'd pull out an app, like say it was like a Forester plan writer, maybe we'll take a Marico, Eagle. They didn't have that back then. We'll just say it was. And I go, okay. So you're looking for some whole life because you're older, and I'd pull it out and I'd read the medical questions, and then it'd say yes. And I'd be like, okay, there's a yes on this one. And I go down to the bottom and it'd say in section B, if it's a yes, this person is a graded product. I'm like, okay, well, this one's not going to work. And I pull out another one and start reading the medical questions, like, this one's not going to work. And I pull out another one, start reading, well, this one's not going to work. Well, the term's out. Let me go to whole life, start reading. So I just have to pull out these paper apps and read them all the time, right? And so what the cheat sheets is doing is it's reading all those questions on the medical questions, and it's putting them all on one page. So instead of pulling out apps and looking at all the medical questions, the cheat sheets kind of have all the medical questions right there for you. So you'd go find like, okay, cancer. You go down to the cancer section and it have all the carriers and go, well, cancer is 2 years for this one, 3 years for this one, 1 year for this one, decline on this one. You're like, okay, well, you had it a year and a half ago, so we have to go with this one for 1 year. It looks like it's going to be, this product, right? So we're going to go with this one. So it's just a quicker way instead of pulling out apps or reading medical questions. And the funny thing is, I created a cheat sheet like the one that we have FFL a long time ago. I was like, this is dumb. Let me figure out how to do it. Let's get more logical. And like call the carriers. I made a little chart, in Google Sheets so that I could be more efficient at it. Right. So that's all it is. It's just pulling out apps and reading them. Okay. Oh, here's a good one. Here's another good one too. So, you know why I was great at closing at first? I think the first week, my first 5 appointments, I did 0, right? Obviously, I was nervous as hell knocking on a door. Like, you're like, so yeah, I'm just here to help you out. I had no idea what I was doing. Fumbling on my words. Like, yeah, I guess you're looking for life insurance. Let me pull up these apps and read them, right? But then by the 6th one, right, do the thing you fear, death of fear is certain. Remember my 6th appointment. They're like, oh yeah, so we need to think about it. And I was like, okay. So I just started packing up my bags. And they're like, what are you doing? Where are you going? I'm like, I thought you said you need to think on it. Like, well, can we get your card? I'm like, no, we already went over all the plans. Like, there's no reason for me to come back. Like, I have other appointments to go to. Like, why would I come back to do the same job over again? They're like, well, just sit down, Ryan. Okay, we'll get it. Like, it's fine. Like, we'll get it. And that was kind of like how it closed at first, was because I was just so confused. Like, why would I do the same job again? Like, I have other people to see. Like, you either get it or you don't. I don't understand is it too expensive? Like, you control the price, right? Like, I don't get it. Like, I'm confused. What do you mean? Like, why would I come back again? Right. And that's how I closed. Like, that's literally how I learned how to do it. Just being so dumb and just so stuck in that, like simple mindset of just like not overthinking it and just like packing my bags. And everyone pretty much, like, I think I did like 3K the second week, and then did like 6K. And it was hilarious. That was my closing method, just packing up my bag. Anytime I said, think about it.
Yeah. But dude, there's so much power in that, because I've done that, where a client is just, I say the sky is blue, they say it's red. Like, what are we doing? And then you just challenge them, and you shut my iPad, shut my folder, sit back, and I'm like, hey, dude, I got to go. Like, are we doing this or not? In a sense. And they're like, well, wait a minute. Like, don't leave yet. Okay. Well, if I sit here, in all fairness, like, we're making a decision, right? Well, yeah. Okay. And I will leave. If they say, well, we still want to think about it, man, I'm out of there so fast, and I do not care. I'm not coming back. But new agents, man, even when I was new, you're afraid. You got that commission breath, and you're like, dude, if I leave, like, I'm going to lose the sale. Well, you never had the sale anyway. So you need to value your time more than this one potential commission you're probably not going to get.
Yeah, exactly. You got to be in that middle state of being okay with no's and, being okay with yeses. And it's like, I don't care about the result, because I spent enough money on leads that I have numbers on my side. I set enough appointments, I have numbers on my side. This job is so hard, so hard if you don't invest a lot. It's so much harder, because you got like 4 appointments and you're like, oh man, I need to close one of these 4 appointments. It's like, if you got 30, you're like, you think I care, man? Are you getting this or not? I got like 29 more, dude. I don't care at all.
Yeah.
And that puts you where you need to be in that right perspective, right?
Yeah.
That right tonality, right?
Yeah. Well, guys, we'll take one more question. Does anyone have another question to ask Ryan while he's on here?
I have a question. So did you notice that the chargebacks were more just because you were doing the like, hey, I'm confused, blah, blah, I guess I'm leaving because, you're just thinking about it? Or is it the same versus like kind of like your chargebacks now?
No, absolutely less, okay. And you guys aren't going to probably like hearing this either, but I don't think that you should close on the whole 30-day or qualify first thing, because you're not closing it, right? So I was actually forcing them to make a decision, right? I'm like, hey, I'm leaving. Do you want to get it or not? They decide yes. I'm not saying, hey, you can get this and think about it later and decide to cancel it. I'm like, you either get it today, you don't. I don't understand what there is to think about. I'm generally confused. We went over everything. You get to pick. I'm a broker. Like, you pick anything you want, any price you want. What is there to think about? Help me. Like, what's up? Like, why are you being retarded? Right? Like, I don't get it. So you're forcing them to make a decision versus playing that soft close of like, think about it this way, guys. If you really believe in life insurance and you really believe in protecting people, should that be a decision that's hard to make? Mm-mm. Should it be one that you're telling the client like, nah, I totally get where you're coming from. It would be a tough decision for me too, to decide if I should help my family. Yeah, if I died, they'd be screwed. I need to think on that one. Do I want them to do it or not? Yeah, I get it. Yeah, take your 30 days because, my family, I don't know sometimes if I want love them either, so I totally get it, right? So you got to think about it logically from that perspective, right?
Awesome. Thanks.
glad it helped, guys. We're all one team at FFL, and that's the strength of this organization. So be proud that you're here. That's the reason why I came here. Is I was trying to do it all by myself over where I was at, and I was growing slow, right? So, Sean, how long have you been building your agency for?
I'm 2 years in full time, and as an agent, started building probably first quarter of last year.
Well, man, you guys are killing it. Mine's still a little smaller, but the key is, like with anything, just like when you're starting off with telesales or you're starting off with building a team or whatever. Some people get lucky and they have found some winners right away. Some people take some time, but as long as you keep pushing, then eventually it starts to click, and you never know when that spark's going to happen and explodes. But the key is consistency, right? Just keep being consistent, keep believing, stop the excuse making, take more action, right? That's the keys.
Awesome, man. Well, guys, let's crush it. Ryan, thank you, dude. This has been phenomenal. Take this information, guys, and run with it. Don't sit on it. Take it. Ryan, dude, I appreciate your time, man. Anything we can do for you, holler at us, all right?
Appreciate it, Sean. Take care.
All right, guys. Take care.